All right. So I want to tell you about how I got here. Uh, about age 12, I'd had a typical life. I had a very loving family, very loving mother, and I can remember things like brushing her hair for what seemed like hours on end, but for long periods of time. And we had a player piano in our home. We had 6 kids, and we would all sit around the player piano and sing. We had like 100 different songs, piano rolls that we sang, and really had a pretty good time. My father was kind of a partier and would have parties almost every weekend with coworkers and our family and other families, our family. And then when I was 12, my mother suddenly died. She'd had headaches for a few weeks, and no big deal for the most part. And then one day she was screaming in excruciating pain, and within 2 hours she had passed away from a cerebral hemorrhage. And at that time I was 12. I was the oldest of 6 kids, and it was very traumatic. I loved my mother very much, so the loss of her and her friendship and companionship and conversation and guidance was just gone, which left this huge void, this huge loss in my life. And then within 6 months, I was kind of forced into like almost a servitude, because I wound up taking over all her responsibilities: the household, the cooking, the cleaning, the yard work, trying to get the kid, disciplining the kids, which it's tough enough for a parent, but for a 12-year-old, it's virtually impossible. So I felt frustrated. I felt powerless. I felt trapped. I wanted to be a kid. I didn't want to be an adult. And so that was difficult. And my father was generally, he was abusive in a lot of ways. He was absent, he was angry a lot of the time, and he was intoxicated a lot of the time. So he's either gone, angry, or intoxicated. So I really didn't have any kind of support. I can remember once in 3 years being appreciated, saying, "Wow, I really appreciate what you're doing." And that's, 3 years is a long time to go, doing it day after day without really getting some kind of nurturing, which I really didn't get. And so I felt powerless in that situation. I felt abused in that situation. I felt unworthy and unappreciated. So I had this series of traumas that shaped my view of myself and shaped my view of life. It seemed as if life was a problem, and that I was a problem in many ways, and really not competent and not capable. So I set out as I left home to try and find myself and to try and find a way to resolve this sense of myself and this sense of life, because under that I knew that I was a really good person. I was a very loving person, and I was a very intelligent person, even though my father often told me that I was stupid. So I kind of had this mindset that I'm stupid, that I'm not able, and so I had to try and overcome that. So I thought I would, I looked to be successful. I looked to be successful in business and tried several businesses. In fact, I was even, for 7 years, I committed myself to an alternative energy business. I worked with partners. I raised the funds. I had a vision for years. I lived the vision that I was going to change the world's energy situation. I was going to eliminate the need for fossil fuel. And when that failed, that was even another huge loss, kind of added to the previous losses in my life. And it took me a couple of years to get over that. And during that period of time, I pretty much went through the landscape of religion and self-help and metaphysics and new age and spirituality, looking for answers, looking to find who I am and the purpose of life and that kind of stuff. And everything that I went into, any kind of self-help technique that I tried, I did it with a passion. I didn't do it casually. I did it with a passion. If they said spend 20 minutes a day, I'd spend an hour. Sometimes I'd spend 2 hours. And I would just attempt to resolve my past so that I could be present and so that I could focus on the vision for my future and stay focused on that and make it happen. But nothing that I tried really seemed to live up to its promise. you know, and I'd get seminar highs, like people get seminar highs. And so I really figured that I almost needed to develop my own technique. And so I worked with a neuroscientist for a while who had some understanding of patterns and how patterns get stored in our brain. How do we create stable patterns, either empowering or disempowering stable patterns, and what all happens with that. And I did learn a technique, and I used that technique to some success. But again, it took actually literally a couple of hours of rigorous work, and most people just aren't willing to do that. And at some point in this process, I realized I wanted to help people. I wanted to be able to give other people a system. I had a quest. I wanted to find a resolution to my past so that I could live in the present and focus on my future and create the future that I wanted. And I wanted to be able to share that with others. I wanted to help others because I knew along my journey I saw so many other people who had their past was still affecting them, still shaping the possibilities and the probabilities for their life. And so I knew that I could help lots and lots of people if I could be successful with my quest. So once I discovered that there was some real value in neuroscience and science in general, I started doing my own research, and I did my own research into stress physiology, find out what actually happens when we get stressed, and how detrimental is that. And it's really detrimental. I'll go into that in a little while. And then I also looked at neurochemistry, what actually happens in the brain, what happens hormonally that affects us, and how does that affect us. And then I looked into the underlying laws of physics. You know, like I was looking for something that was reliable as gravity. And so it seemed to me that was related to the laws of physics. I wanted a process for myself and for others that worked just like gravity. If I drop this pen, boom, it falls to the ground every time. I wanted something that reliable, and I figured, just like, it's interesting because that's how planes fly. For thousands of years, people have dreamed of flying. For thousands of years, people have that imagined outcome. They had the belief that it could be done, but the belief was not enough to make it happen. People actually had to start to look at technology, had to look at geometry, and had to build wings that allowed the downward pressure of gravity, this life force energy that helps sustain all life on this planet. Without it, there is no life on this planet. That sustaining energy that we call gravity causes the atmosphere, the air, the oxygen, the nitrogen to be heavy enough that it's a bit like a liquid. And when you make a plane wing just the right shape, when you move forward, it actually allows you to move up, to actually leave the earth and go against gravity. So by using the laws of physics and geometry, you're actually able to create a lift and be able to fly. And so I literally actually have put all those together into a program. So the other thing that I did along this journey was, so once I found a system that worked, but again, my system was still too long and too complicated, I knew that I just had to set that aside. And much of my drive was to be successful and to help people and to make a lot of money, but it was more intellectual, and it really wasn't as heartfelt as I really am as a person. I mean, I really have a strong desire, a strong love for people, and a strong desire to help people. Anybody who knows me, any of my friends, will tell you that that's the case. So what I did next was, I have a dear friend who had some land, and I'd always had a dream for a farm and grow organic food. I've always been into health. I've always been really healthy. Ever since I moved away from home, that's been one of my other passions, one of my other quests is for health. And so I created a vision, for creating the highest vibration food and the most nutrient dense food, and to use geometry, actually what some people call sacred geometry, to create a configuration that would actually draw in life force energy and energize not only the people that worked in the farm, but also the food itself, the organisms, the microorganisms, the animals. It would energize all of that, take it to a higher level, and literally create a portal, a place, an opening, a doorway where energies that are bombarding our planet at this time could actually be filtered, could be amplified and purified, and sent to the center of the earth and radiated to the entire planet. And that was the vision. And it wasn't about making money. It was also about taking any kind of abundance that we had and contributing it to the community at large and teaching the community at large how to do what we're doing. Learn how to grow the best food. Learn how to work in harmony with each other as human beings, and learn how to work in harmony with nature. And that turned out to be very successful. Not huge, but successful in that it fulfilled the vision for those that are participating and those that we contribute to by giving and donating the food that we do to the local community food bank. So one of the things that came out of that experience was the reality that certain geometric shapes will draw in life force energy. And it turns out that the Earth is really not just a sphere. The magnetic ley lines on the Earth create what's known in geometric shape as a dodecahedron. And you can see that. You can see the pentagon back here. That's the pentagon of our garden. That's the Fire Heart Community Farms. And I call it Fire Heart with a P. I spell it with a P-H-I-R-E because it has built into it something we call phi ratio or golden mean or Fibonacci's spiral. If you've ever seen the Da Vinci drawing where the man's outstretched and has his legs stretched apart, every aspect of that drawing shows in the man is drawn to the phi ratio. So this phi ratio is in all of life, and it's really the life wave form. It's the life wave, life force wave. It's the wave in which life force energy moves. It's the way in which it moved. It's the way in which our consciousness moves. For us to be self-aware, we have to have our attention go out and come back. In order to be self-aware, it's just like a mirror. You know, if you look in a mirror, for you to be aware of your appearance, your attention has to go out to the mirror and reflect back from the mirror. Or light needs to move from where we are to the mirror and back. So there has to be this full circle that occurs. And in any case, I just intuited this device that I call the Fireheart Universal Orb. And what it does is it takes your energy field, which is electromagnetic. Your heart, we know your heart radiates a field out 8 feet, 10 feet that they can measure, and probably more, but we can measure it with scientific equipment that big. Our brain only puts out about a 1-inch electromagnetic field. So your heart, as far as being energetically, is much more the dominant organ in our body. And that's just on a physical level, but if you look deeper, if you look at the energetic level, it is the core of our being. It is why we call it the heart, the center. It is our center. It is the heart of our being. So what I discovered was that energy field, along with all the other energies that are coming to us at this time, gravity's flowing down, we're getting effects from the sun, from solar flares, coronal mass ejections, we're getting energy from the universe, which I'm showing, I can show you images of that. All these energies are hitting us at the same time, and then there's a certain level of chaos and stress on this planet, because in part we're not taking in these energies and unifying them and harmonizing them. And what I found is the energy of these phi ratio energies, like the energy in our little farm, it actually takes all the energies and makes them coherent. That means unifies them, harmonizes them. And we want to be able to do that to our own energy field, to our own spirit. And so I developed this device that I call a Fireheart Universal Orb. And what it does, when you hold it, is it takes your energy field in, and as you can see here, it has 12 sides. It actually has 12 sides. Each side is a pentagon, and each one of those shapes, each one of these holes here, each one of these sides draws in life force energy, draws in life force energy, draws in life force energy. So it's absorbing the gravity that's moving down, it's absorbing your electromagnetic field from your heart, it's absorbing your aura from your hands when you're holding it, and it's absorbing the energy from the sun, it's absorbing energy from the galaxy. I mean, it's taking all these energies in and it's harmonizing them. And in the very center where they all meet, it's accelerating them. It's causing and in that, it's causing an amplification. So we know that if you take a carbon molecules that are shaped like this, they call them buckyballs, named after Buckminster Fuller, and you put them in a microwave oven, and you turn on the microwave oven and introduce microwaves into the orb, what you wind up with is this incredible brilliance, this incredible radiance, where all those unified, harmonized waves meet in the center. And so the same thing is happening when we send energy into this orb. It causes a radiance which our aura, our energy field, our spirit can absorb, which now we have more energy that we're able to put into the orb, which causes more radiance, which feeds our field more, which causes more radiance, which feeds our field more, and it just continues this upward spiral. It's an amplifying and purifying, so it's an amplifier and a purifier, P-H-I-R-E, right? And so that's what I've developed. So what happens is, once you get in tune with this feedback, you start drawing in life force energy at a higher rate. And what comes in to our spirit when we have this inward flow, when we open up and we flow, which we're going to do an exercise for that shortly, when we open up and flow energy inward, what comes in on that inward flow of life force energy is intelligence, intuition, imagination, all these insights, all these things that begin with an IN or an IM or an EN, all those mean in. That inflow of life force energy is where those ride, where that all that capability comes from. So when you use the orb, you cause this inflow of life force energy. You amplify and purify the inflow of life force energy into your energy field. So that's what the orb's about, and I'm really excited that we're going to be using that, but not today. So I just wanted to record this so that we could see. So the culmination of my journey was using, once I had the orb, once I had this ability to amplify, I had an amplifier and a purifier of my energy field. I had all my imagination, my intuition, my intelligence was kicked up, and all the things that I had done came to me and were reorganized. That's the other thing that happens where all these energy waves come together, is the principle of self-organization. And all of a sudden, my spirit began to be organized. It began to be amplified, purified, and organized at a higher level. And in so doing, the information that I was receiving and that I was able to transmit to others was at a higher level. And it's a very effective technique. So it's a very effective device, and then all the techniques that came to me from using it. So and creativity just went up, intuition went up, imagination went up, intelligence went up, all that went up, and my energy went up, my energy level went up, my creativity went up. So you're going to get the fruit. So this is a seed from the Fireheart project, from my Fireheart farm. This came out of that. My understanding of this came out of that. And what else came out of that was so what came out of this seed was all of the techniques and processes that help people do three things. Be happy, feel good, not bad. So to be able to have the freedom to feel good, and to be able to have the power to move forward in your life, and 3, to be able to express your creativity, and 4, to contribute your expression to the world, to uplift all of humanity. And so that's what these techniques are designed to do. This is in part, my journey and my quest has ended with the discovery of this orb, which this shape has been used for decades, maybe even thousands of years, but it's in a way it's been rediscovered by me being open to a new possibility, to be a conduit to contribute to the world. this has come to me, and I'm excited to share it with you today. So I'm excited for you to get started with this process, and we'll get started in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye for now.